were to sit down with, if you had the opportunity at least, to sit down with one of these top executives, take for example Mark Zuckerberg. Let's say they're sold on the idea for digital minimalism. I don't know why they would be, because it would be hurting their pockets, but let's just say they were willing to have that sort of conversation. Is there any form of advice which you would give to them in order to benefit people's usage on their platforms, to make it better for the common good of humanity?
It's a complicated question. Like almost everything that could be effective would hurt the bottom line. I mean, so Twitter is an interesting example because more so than the other companies, their negative impact and addictiveness is partially accidental. Now, they still do attention engineering, especially in their app. They innovated the poll to refresh. There's no reason the poll to refresh. They had the technology just to do infinite scroll, but there was a sort of reinforcement aspect to that. It's like pulling the slot machine handle. You pull it and it sees what happened. And so they have done some of that, but they were actually surprised the degree to which once you added retweets and likes, how it became this sort of social feedback machine, and then culture took over and it spun people off into these weird directions. So Jack Dorsey's willing to entertain experimentations. He's thought about, like, let's get rid of like buttons. Let's get rid of favorites. Let's just try to have things just kind of go out there, but there's no battle around them. That might help. I think Facebook and Instagram, I mean, they really depend on people using it compulsively. So I don't really know what they can do. I wrote an article for the New Yorker last year where I looked into independent social media platforms. And so there are indie alternatives where there isn't a large company. You own your own server, or it's you and a few people own the server and they talk to other servers. It's all independent and no one's trying to exploit you, but they're complicated. So, I'm not quite sure if that's an alternative. So I just think the solution has to be not Facebook or Instagram or Twitter reforming themselves. I think it's the culture moving on from them and embracing a greater diversity of different social platforms and social internet tools. And so like one term I coined is long-term social media, or long tail social media, I should say, which is this idea of instead of having a giant platform that everyone is on, you have a multiplicity of platforms dedicated to different things with different models, with some of them you pay for. And you're engaged in these very intense and rewarding platforms. And maybe this one's 100 people, or here's 5,000 people who are into this. And so it's long tail, so it's niche. And that it gets us back to the social internet roots. And I think why this is possible is that original network effect sales pitch, you have to use us and not a competitor because everyone's on us. That kind of went out the window once they moved the content model away from profiles to just the endless stream. Once you're just looking at an endless stream that's being populated from random accounts, it doesn't really matter that your cousin's on Facebook or not. So you might as well go to a niche platform that people have really strong relationships. And I've been documenting these a lot. I've been writing about these where it's like, the people, you're making each other's lives better. It's experts. Maybe you pay $5. It's the interfaces are great. You do in-person meetups of the people. It's like way more rewarding. I'm hoping that's the future. Long tail social media, distributed, independent, numerous different types of platforms and models. No reason to be on 2 or 3 where everyone is.
Yeah, that's fascinating. I think the closest I could see to that in its manifestation currently, and there are some platforms that are trying to, I think, follow in those footsteps. I can't remember the exact name, but Facebook groups remind me a lot of that. And Joey and I have toyed around with that for the purpose of, we're young creatives trying to connect with other creatives. One of our business ideas, so to speak, was in that vein of thought. How do you connect people both online and offline? And offline, I think, is the more important part. In that way, without, facing the same problem of it's just engaging you because we want you here forever instead of a value-based approach.
Well, there's definitely been a shift in the long tail social media networks where they've moved away from Facebook groups to setting up their own Slack servers. That's something I see a lot. So it's we have our own Slack server that has these sub channels and we own it. So no one's trying to, it's not like you come to the Facebook group and then Facebook sucks you right out of there and into like your uncle posting something crazy and then you're down there goes your evening. So I've seen that. Also, you remember in digital minimalism, I documented all these different ways that people found out how to use Facebook groups without seeing anything else on Facebook.
Yeah.
It's a huge challenge. You have to use like the newsfeed eradicator plugin for Chrome or unfollow everyone or bookmark the groups page. So you can do it. You can, I call this the attention resistance in the book. There's a way to go into Facebook and get to a Facebook group and see what the people in the group are posting and not see anything else. But it takes a lot of effort.